Growing up, I really didn't have a strong influence as far as the church other than my grandmother. I would go to church with her occasionally, but I really didn't know anything about Christ. As a teenager, I really went as far away from Christ as possible. I didn't want anyone telling me no or that I couldn't do things. I had a strong, rebellious spirit. Really just ran as far and as fast away from rules as I could, including Christ. When Ash was born, I was 22, and he was born 2 weeks late and very sick. He had the muscle in his stomach didn't close correctly, so he couldn't hold any food down. And within the first 2 weeks, he lost 2 pounds. They ran test after test after test on him, and we really weren't getting any answers. And they finally decided they would do surgery on his stomach. And I was on the phone with a friend and noticed Ash had a breathing pattern. He would take a breath and then moan and take a breath and then moan. And I missed 3 beats of him breathing. And I turned around and he had started turning blue and his arms had kind of gone out beside him. And I knew that I was losing him. Nurses and doctors came from everywhere and they called codes, and it was just a flurry of movement. And Ash's mom was at the elevator when all of this started going on, so she ran back to the room. Well, since I was in the room, I was kind of pushed into the corner. So I saw everything that they did, them working on him, shocking him to keep his heart going, and then eventually calling that he needed to be moved. I called my grandmother and told her what was going on, and she said, well, let me pray. And my exact words were, you don't need to pray. He hasn't done anything for me. Why would I do anything for him? And I got up and I left the room and decided I was going to go upstairs and get all of his stuff. He had a bunch of stuffed animals, but one that was specific was a little blue bunny I had purchased for him the day he was born. And I remember getting to his room, getting his stuff together, and picking up that bunny and just collapsing to my knees. And for the first time in my life, I honestly spoke to God, and I offered myself to him. I said, God, I've been here 22 years, and I know I haven't been the person that you want me to be or that you require, but if you'll just take me and do with me what you want and just let him live, I'm willing to go now. God put his arms around me. I felt a physical presence of the Holy Spirit putting his arms around me and saying, go to him and put your hands on him and sing to him. I put my hand on his thigh and I sang the only song that I could remember, which was Wind Beneath My Wings, and I could only remember the chorus. So I sang that song over and over and over, and I stood there probably for about 3 hours before they had to change the nursing staff. So they sent me out for about 30 minutes, 45 minutes, and then I went right back in, and I stood there for 6 hours with my hands on his leg, just singing. That's what God told me to do. And on the 3rd day, he started coming out of his coma. I just remember the doctor saying that it was a miracle, and I said, no, it was Christ. Because I knew that he had been there with me and has been with me ever since. Christ has shown me amazing things in my life. He's shown me incredible miracles, and he's been there through thick and thin. And I also realized that the entire time I was running from him, he still had his arms wide open, waiting for me to turn and come back.